When we are trying to graph by plotting points, you are plugging the x values into the equation. I strongly recommend that you put parentheses around your x. So to plug in -1, we do -1 in parentheses squared minus 2. You can grab your calculator, use parentheses, or just do this in your head. -1 squared is 1. 1 minus 2 is -1. So that point is -1, -1. Next we plug in 0. 0 squared minus 2 would be -2. So that's the point, 0, -2. Plug in 1 squared minus 2. You might start to see some symmetry happening here. Do you remember what this type of graph is called? A parabola. Make sure you say parabola, not parabola.
Parabola.
It's a parabola. It is not an awful disease that's coming to kill us all. It is a mathematical curve. Like, you know, Ebola. It's not like that. It's a parabola. Parabola. Okay, number 2. They want us to use the equation 2x plus y equals 1. Honestly, what they really want us to do is to do 2 times -2 plus y equals 1 and then solve that equation. Does that seem like way too much work each time? That seems like way too much work to me. Is there something we could do to this equation to make it easier to plug the x values in and get our y value?
Y equals -2x plus 1.
Yeah. Subtract 2x on both sides, so we have y equals -2x plus 1. And now some of you might be thinking, but Mrs. Gilmore, I know how to graph y equals -2x plus 1. Can't we just use the y-intercept and the slope and graph the thing? Yeah, you totally could. If this was on a test or a quiz and I wanted you to graph it, just graph it. On your assignment, they are going to ask you for the table of values. So let's do the table of values. -2 times -2 plus 1. That's 4 plus 1, which is 5. -2 times -1 plus 1. That's 2, 3. -2 times 0 plus 1 is 1. The next one is -1. And -3. On your assignment, it's just going to ask you for the table of values. So really, truly, on your assignment, if you have something like this, -2, 5, -1, 3, 0, 1, 1, -1, 2, -3, that would be considered a correct answer for this problem on your assignment. I feel fairly confident that you all can plot points if you really have to. Next, we're going to talk about intercepts. Sometimes intercepts are things that we don't really care about. Sometimes they're really, really important. What I want you to remember, and I want you to write this onto the slide of your notes, the x-intercept is always some number, comma, 0. Notice the other letter, the y, is 0. The y-intercept is always 0, comma, something. The other letter x is always 0. That's your strategy for how to find your x and your y-intercept. Plug 0 into the other letter and then solve and you will get the intercept that you're trying to get. So on example 3, sometimes there's a picture. This means a whole lot of not a ton of work. What are the x-intercepts for this parabola? Here and here. 3 and -3, let's write those as ordered pairs. So 3, 0 and -3, 0. On your assignment, that's what you would need to do. Write x-intercepts or just write x and then put the coordinates of the x-intercepts. The y-intercept is here, 0, 4. On your assignment, even if it says this exact thing, find the intercepts and sketch the graph of. Honestly, we are just going to practice finding the intercepts of this equation. So to find the x-intercept is going to be something, comma, 0. So we plug 0 into the other letter. So we put 0 in place of the y equals 4x minus 2. How would we solve that equation? Add 2. Divide by 4, so x is 1/2. The y-intercept, honestly, this one is written in slope-intercept form, so you should be able to see the y-intercept, but you plug 0 into the other letters. So y equals 4 times 0 minus 2. 4 times 0 is 0, so y equals -2. So on your assignment, if you write x-intercept 1/2, comma 0, y-intercept 0, -2, that's all you need to do. We don't have to graph this on our assignment. Okay, when the equation is written in slope-intercept form, honestly, finding your intercepts is kind of dumb because you have your y-intercept and you know your slope. In example 5, this is the type of equation where it actually is very important to know how to find your x and your y-intercept. So we have 3x plus 2y equals 6. To find the x-intercept, it's going to be something, comma, 0. We plug 0 into the other letter. If I plug 0 into this y, what's going to happen to this term that I just highlighted in blue? It'll cancel out. It'll go away. And all we will have left is 3x equals 6. So x is 2. You know your x-intercept is 2. If I want to find my y-intercept, we plug 0 into the other letter. If I plug 0 into x, what happens to this pink dot? It goes away. It's 0, and all we have left is 2y equals 6, which means our y-intercept is 3, 0, 3. So when your equation is written in standard form with your x and y on the same side, knowing how to find your intercepts can be very, very helpful. To find your x-intercept, cover up the y, see what you have left, and solve it. To get your y-intercept, cover up the x, see what you have left, and solve it. All right, your assignment for this section. Make sure you're labeling your assignment with what it is. So make sure you write down that this is the 4.2 book assignment. It starts on page 176. We are doing numbers 2, 4, and then 13 through 20 all. On this, number 2 and number 4, you just need to do the table of values. You don't need to graph. And on 13 through 20, you are finding your x-intercept and your y-intercept.